Hi everyone, my name is James Goodrich and I'm going to be talking to you guys about recruiting. I am a independent consultant with Perfectly Posh, and I just wanted to share some of the insights I had gained as I've been recruiting myself with this business and wanted to share some of those ideas with you. There's three major parts that I have found for myself that have allowed me to be successful recruiting. And I'll go through all three of them and hopefully they will help you with your business. Number one is you've got to build a relationship with your potential recruits. Successful recruiting is really not about you, it's really all about them. Some places you'll hear where they talk about the process of finding recruits as prospecting, and it's just like prospectors who were looking for gold back in the day, that they would purchase a plot of land, and on that land they would search all over, they would dig in the ground, they would look in the riverbeds trying to find where that gold was. And we have to do the same thing with the people that we are looking for to join our teams. We have to do a little bit of digging. We have to get to know those people. We have to invest some time in building those relationships for a number of reasons. Number one, we need to find out what's going to make them want to join our team. We have to figure out what their why is. Their why is not going to match our why. It's going to be different. The reason I do this business is very different than a lot of people who've joined my team. I joined this business to be closer to my spouse and be able to problem solve, and that's not necessarily the same reason as someone else who's joined my team because they wanted to have a little bit more spending cash to pay for some bills over the course of each month. So your job as a sponsor or someone who's looking for teammates is you've got to discover that reason. What is it that they are missing in their lives that bringing this opportunity to them is going to fulfill? Is it going to be allowing them to pay for childcare for that month? Is it going to allow them to pay off that credit card? Is it going to allow them the opportunity to do something that gives them a little bit more of a social outlet? I think of like stay-at-home moms who are interacting with children for the majority of their time. Sometimes they just want some adult time, and maybe that's going to motivate them to join the team. Maybe they're looking for friends, or maybe they are a go-getter or an entrepreneur and they are looking for something to be successful at, and they really like that idea, the energy that you can get from growing a business and developing that over time. So you never know what it is from the beginning that is going to spark that interest in someone else unless you take the time to get to know them and become invested in their life and figure out those little idiosyncrasies that maybe are going to help you present the opportunity in a way that they're going to want to join your team. You're also going to learn by getting to know them if the timing is right. We have found most of the time the reason why people reject the opportunity or reject joining is because it's just not the right time for them. And it really has nothing to do with when you need, like, yes, it may be the end of a month or a goal is in place and you need to get that recruit, but that is pretty irrelevant to those people who you're looking to have join your team. You've got to understand their life, what's going on with them, and if the opportunity is right for them. If, say, a couple good examples, like say they're moving next week, it's not the right time for them. They're not going to be able to hit the ground running. They've got other priorities. Maybe they've got a medical reason, or they've got family emergencies that they have to deal with. You're not going to know that information unless you've taken the time to get to know them as a human being and really invested in their life, so that you will know when that time to present that question or present that opportunity is right. And you're also going to hear a lot of people say no, and that's fine. But maybe when they tell you no, it's because the timing wasn't right. It just means not right now. And that is, you're going to be more okay with hearing that no if you know that person and they've gotten to know you as a human being or as a friend. And it will be, sometimes we resist asking people because we're afraid of hearing the word no. So if you've built that relationship, when you actually do hear that no, it'll have less of a sting. It also is another thing to be aware of, that maybe sometimes to say no, and if the timing is off and you keep pushing and you keep pressuring them, that no or that not right now can easily turn into a never. So be aware of that. Be aware of the timing of when you ask, because if the timing is not right for them and you keep pressuring them, they're going to say never. They're going to have a bad taste in their mouth about this opportunity you presented. They're going to feel like you're pushy. You're going to come off as being like a salesman, and that's really not what we want to do. And it's not a great way to succeed with finding new teammates to join your team. I'll go back to the idea of hearing the word no. You're going to hear no all the time, and it's different because it's not personal. They're not saying no to you as a human being. They're just saying no to the opportunity. If it helps you, think of going to a diner or something for breakfast. The waitress has a pot of coffee. She's going to walk around to every single table and offer them refills on their coffee. And some people are going to say yes, and some people are going to say no. And a lot of times people say no because of a variety of reasons. Maybe they don't want any more coffee. Maybe their coffee cup is still warm or whatnot. But you know what? That waitress, she doesn't take it personally. She just moves on to the next table and asks them, hey, would you like some coffee? Because she understands that it's not about her as a human being. It's just about that they don't want coffee. So if you can take a little bit of that and apply that to yourself as far as the opportunity and asking people to join your team, they're not saying, hey, Sally, I hate you. Don't talk to me anymore. What they're saying is, you know what? The timing isn't right. I'm not interested at this moment, but let's talk about something else. And let it be that. Don't add any other weight to it, because when you add that extra weight and that extra meaning to it, then that's when it becomes really hard to even start those conversations. So just be aware. If it helps you ever, just think about the waitress. The waitress is going to ask everyone if they want more coffee. Some people say yes, some people say no, and it's not personal. Same thing about the opportunity of joining your team. Some people will say yes, some people will say no, but it's not about you so much as it is about them not needing the opportunity or not seeing the value of the opportunity at that point. All right, let's talk about number 2, my second step. You have to talk to a lot of people. You need to talk to as many people as you can. It really is a numbers game as far as getting recruits on your team. You're going to hear people say no, and the likelihood of hearing more no's than yeses is very high. This is an industry that is still seen as a side hustle, or not seen as an opportunity that many people have an awareness of or understanding. I was one of those people. When I was first approached about it, I only had my own personal experience to go on, and that wasn't necessarily bad, but it just wasn't something that I saw fit me. So it took a while for me to understand and to discover that the opportunity for me was also there. That only happened after some time, and my first initial reaction was no. So that may be the situation in your case, that you're going to talk to that person, they're going to say no. And like I said before, it may just be not right now, but you're going to hear no. And so the way to get over that, the way to get past hearing someone say no, is you've got to ask a lot of people, and you've got to talk to a lot of people about the opportunity. And I'll use this to maybe put it into perspective. If you ask 5 people in the course of a month to join your team, and all 5 of them say no, you're going to feel pretty crappy about yourself at the end of the month and think, you know what, I'm horrible at recruiting. I'm not good at recruiting. I can't do this. I am, no one says yes. Well, out of the 5 people you asked, correct, no one said yes. Had you asked 20 people, and maybe out of those 20 people, only 3 said yes, so 17 of them said no, you know what you're going to think? You're going to think, yeah, I just got 3 new people to join my team in this month. And you're going to focus on that. You're going to feel great about yourself. You're going to have 3 new team members. And the only difference in those 2 scenarios was the number of people asked. You have to ask enough people to get those yeses. The smaller your group of people that you present the opportunity to, the less likely you are to hear the yes answer, and the more defeated you're going to feel, because you're only going to focus on the fact that you've only heard no's. If you want people to join your team, you have to continue to ask new people, and you've got to do it in a larger number, because the likelihood of getting yeses out of 1 or 2 people is very low and is very discouraging. So make sure you talk to a lot of people. And like I said, I'll go back to that waitress. If that waitress went to 2 people and the first 2 people said no, and she decided, well, nobody wants coffee, so I'm just going to go back and put it on the coffee pot, the other 15 tables are going to not have that opportunity to have the coffee that they wanted, because that waitress didn't offer them the opportunity. She decided after 2 or 3 people that she was bad at pouring coffee and took the coffee pot back, which actually wasn't the case. It just was that she didn't ask enough people, and she didn't get to the people who were actually waiting for that opportunity there. So there we go. And then also with talking to people is you have to be consistent with it and persistent. You may get those people, and like I mentioned before, you may get those not right now answers. And if you don't follow up and you don't connect to those people that month later when maybe the opportunity is there for them and you just kind of write them off, then you've missed that opportunity to have a new teammate. So when you hear those answers of not right now, or even those no's, as you develop your relationship and you start to see where that individual may be a little bit more open and the timing might be right, make sure you go back. Make sure you go back and present that opportunity again, because if you don't, you've now robbed yourself of that new teammate, and you've also robbed them of the opportunity of joining your team. So be persistent and be consistent. Make those notes, keep those calendars, do whatever it is that you need to do to stay consistent, to make sure that you continue to do this and you continue to ask people, so that you are expanding that range of people you've asked, and you are returning to those people who the timing wasn't right, so you do get those members eventually. This is a long process. It's usually longer than selling a product. Usually products are easier, they're a faster turnaround. People you sell the product to, they understand that if they say yes and they spend that $10, they're going to get the product in a couple days. This is a whole different type of interaction. This is a longer interaction. You may ask or sow the seed today, and the answer may not happen for 3, 5 months, or even a year later, when that person says, you know what, the time is right for me to join. So understand that it is a different level of awareness of time and how you're going to hear those yeses. Be prepared for that difference in time for results. That's okay. All right, and the last thing I'm going to talk to you about is you have to be honest and authentic.